I've been chatting to someone at work the other day. She says she listens to the podcast every week.
I thought there was one.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and John Ponting in Cricklade.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Sheer Isolation. I am John in Cricklade. Kieran is in Trowbridge. Hi, Kieran.
Rock and roll.
With your very fluffy hair. It grows very quickly, your hair. I'm quite jealous.
It does grow very quickly. Yeah, it does. And my wife's recently got her first couple of grey hairs, and I'm still got a full head of dark brown hair. So I'm not going grey anytime soon. My dad hasn't gone grey either, actually. So I'm hoping that I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to go grey.
Well, isn't your wife going to love you for that opening remark?
Look, John, you can't, beat the facts of life. There's a grey hair. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure you've got one somewhere.
I've got plenty.
There you go.
Plenty.
There you go.
But these lights hide them well. Look, I'm going to move on. The purpose of this show is to highlight and promote music and art across the west of England. This week we are joined by this is one for the metalheads out there. We're joined by Becky Baldwin, who is part of bands such as Fury, Hands Off Gretel, and her most recent band acquisition. This is a bit of an exclusive for us. She is off to America to play with Mercyful Fate.
There you go. I mean, that is quite something, isn't it? Merciful Fate, if you don't know, are I say legendary. They're a band that have been around a long time. They've released a lot of albums. They've done a lot of tours. The big band, incredibly respected, and it is huge news that this little, this young woman from Trowbridge is now playing in their band. And, she's got such respect and status within the industry, and I've got so much admiration for her. Go Becky Baldwin.
Yeah, so we'll be talking to Becky later on. Have you been to any gigs this week, Kieran? I've been really bad at it. I've been hiding away. The nights are drawing in. I just don't feel like going out.
That's really sad, John. You must go out because gigs are everything.
I'm trying to do a couple of gigs next week, but I'll say that for next week's show.
Okay, fair enough. The last week, have I been to any gigs? So last weekend, I went to Merry Hell at the Pump in Trowbridge, and it was magnificent, but I've not been to anything since. I've had a very quiet week.
Sometimes you just need to take a step back, hey? Just for a little while, recharge. In that case, we'll move on to our first track. Pecq, not a Pokemon.
Pecq. Not a Pokemon. P-E-C-Q. Pecq. They're a sort of synth pop duo. Although if you look them up on YouTube, a bunch of their videos will have a full band because they can perform full band. But it's this real 80s nostalgia. The synth-wise, it's poppy and accessible, but some of the tracks or some of the sounds have a really dark vibe to them. And so much so that somebody has stitched together a bunch of their videos together and a bunch of their visuals and their sounds, and they've kind of augmented them into this 15-minute video, and they've parodied Stranger Things. So if you like Stranger Things and you like the incidental music, you probably would like Pecq. And it's a great video. Go and search it out. But we're going to play just a standard 3-minute pop song, a song called Over and Over, which I am a big fan of right now, mainly because, John, they're performing at Trowbridge Town Hall this Saturday. And I have to say, John, I wouldn't normally go out of my way to book even a duo pop act. I wouldn't do it. It's just not my way. But I've recently got into their music and I think it's absolutely sensational. And if all pop was like this, I would be a pop fan through and through, but I'm not.
Tear
the track is called Over and Over. The band, the duo are called Pecq, P-E-C-Q. So you can find them on the interwebs. You can look them up, find some more.
John, I found my good side.
You're just showing us your fluffy hair.
Yeah, it's my good side. This is how I look good like this.
No, you're reminding me of all kinds of horrible people that you see in the mugshots with that angle.
Yes, yes.
Oh, you're trying to be the bad boy, are you?
I'm not trying to be, John. This charming face gets away with an awful lot.
Have you got any product placement, bad boy?
A while back, I moved house, and you know when you like move house, you've lent someone something, you move house, you never see them again, or you never get that object back. I realised recently that I'd lost my Walter Schreifel CD. So Walter is a frontman of Rival Schools, among many other bands like Quicksand and Gorilla Biscuits. Anyway, I bought his record, the CD, again online, and it's come. And I'm going to find it. I've shelved it because I'm a very organised person. All in alphabetical order. It's okay. Look, I've got it. And you know what? It's absolutely immaculate. I'd go as far as to say this is probably an original they didn't sell first time round. There's no way that after sort of 12 years that it's still this immaculate for no reason. It's probably an original they didn't sell. Anyway, I got it on Discogs. Discogs is great, isn't it? I recently got a Pixie CD on Discogs for like £1.50. You know, if you're a collector like me and an obsessive, Discogs is great. Just go on there. People are just selling their old CDs for like £1. It's amazing. Anyway, this was a tenner. This was not cheap.
And what style of music is it for people who aren't familiar?
Well, Walter, generally speaking, is in post-hardcore, sort of punky hardcore bands. This is him doing acoustic stuff. There's one track on it called Requiem, which ended up on the second Rival Schools album. So it's worth checking out just for the acoustic or the original or say the demo version. It's quite a cool little CD. I'm just obsessed with Walter. I'm obsessed with Rival Schools. They're playing 2000 Trees. I'm dead excited. So I had to buy this album again because I don't want to lose it out of my collection.
Thank you for that, Kieran. We will move on to this week's guest then. So this week we are talking to Becky Baldwin, who is a musician, a bassist, primarily dealing with metal tunes. She is a session guitarist as well, so that means she gets to play in all kinds of bands. And the reason she's talking to us, or the main reason she's talking to us, is because she's on her way to America to be the bassist for Mercyful Fate because their regular bassist was unavailable. So to go from playing in bands around Trowbridge to going on a US tour with an iconic 80s metal band, it's quite a progression.
It's quite something. I'm so proud of her, so happy for her. You can check her out on YouTube. She's got over 10,000 subscribers, which is no mean feat, you know, to keep people's interest.
God, what would we do for 10,000 subscribers? We wouldn't know what to do with ourselves.
We would not know what to do with ourselves.
I'm Becky Baldwin. I'm a bass player. I live in Birmingham at the moment, but I'm from Trowbridge in the southwest. And for quite a while, I lived in Bristol because I moved there for studying. But yeah, I play in a band called Fury and Hands Off Gretel. And yeah, I don't know. I do kind of all sorts of other bits, but yeah, just primarily I'm a musician and I book gigs and do music things.
Yeah, so I think you're probably underselling yourself as that's quite rightful thing to do because Kieran's really been bigging you up, talking about how you do a lot of session recordings and how you pretty much play all over the world. I don't know about all over the world, but maybe like America and across Europe, playing in different bands. So how did you go from being a kind of a small town Trowbridge guitarist to touring the world?
So it's all been very gradual up to now. So yeah, you mentioned about America. So like in the last 10 years that I've been a professional musician, working as a professional bass player. It's just been very gradual, just like you play your hometown, then you start to branch out and book shows further in the UK. Next week, I'm playing in Europe with my band Fury, and that's their first time out there. But I have been over there a few times before with other bands because I also, as you said, I'm a session bass player. I dep for other bands. If they have a bass player that isn't available, I'll come and do some tours with them. So it was a gradual process of building up contacts from those bands who, you know, maybe they were in a tight spot. They really needed a bass player to fill in, and I'd come and help them with that. And, you know, I'd find a way to make it work for me as well. Like, so I like look at the venue and be like, is this a good venue? Is this a good promoter that they're working with? And can I also start to build a relationship with those people as well? So so that when my own band, like when I go back to my own band, if they're looking at touring, I've already got those contacts. And you mentioned about America. So recently I was asked to play a tour with a band called Mercyful Fate. They're a big, like a legendary band from like the 80s is when they were first formed. And I've been a fan of them since I first discovered metal music. And it was incredible to be asked to play with them. They found me online. And yeah, just a few weeks ago, they asked me to play a tour because their bass player is also in another band. He's in a band called Armored Saint. And so he was busy doing a tour, another tour with Armored Saint, while Merciful Fate were looking to do a USA and North America tour. So they were starting to think of who they're going to ask, and my name got mentioned because they'd seen my videos previously playing like. So yeah, I've got an Instagram page and Facebook page where I post bass covers of songs that I like. And back in 2018, I think it was Halloween, so I thought, I'll do something Halloween themed and do something a bit more like kind of scary. I do the face paints and stuff, and I'll do some Merciful Fate. And they saw that video, I guess, because of the tags that I used, and they've been kind of sort of following my posts since then and seeing what I've been doing. And yeah, so when they needed a bass player, they asked me, and that's kind of is how I've ended up in most things that have gone really well. Like things that have been a big step and a big change for me has always been out of a band being like, we really need someone, we need something a bit different. And so it's I don't know, I think when you're coming from a position where you haven't grown up in the music industry or something, or whatever industry you're in, you don't really have any connections. But when there's a difficult time for a certain band, if you can be that person who helps, then that does a lot for you. So you need other people to have unfortunate scheduling issues, for this to happen for you. But eventually, if you're in the right place at the right time, it will eventually get to you, as long as those people know who you are and what you do and stuff like this.
And it's incredible for you to be in that situation where you can play with a band that you've respected for so long. And I guess luck isn't the right word, but maybe fortunate that the right person saw your right post on the right platform at the right time to get those connections together for that to happen. So fair play to you.
Yeah. I mean, people always say like, luck depends on. I can't remember. There's a fancy way of saying it, but luck depends on like how many opportunities you get to do that. So the more you do, the more you put out there for someone to discover you, then the more likely you'll be lucky to get something actually come through for you.
And you mentioned coming from Trowbridge, and obviously Kieran's based in Trowbridge. I'm based in Wiltshire as well, so we know the scene around here really well. Do you feel like you had to move away from the southwest to grow as a musician?
Not necessarily the southwest. No shade on Trowbridge, but I do feel like I had to get out of Trowbridge to kind of make my career more like stable as a musician. And not necessarily because not necessarily because there isn't like anything going on in Trowbridge, but I think I needed to go and find a city to find the kind of like-minded people that I needed to work with. Like the scene was different. So, I moved to a bigger city where there would be more musicians, to Bristol. And so, I did stay within the Southwest, but moving again last year or 2 years ago to Birmingham, it has made a bit of a difference as well, because Birmingham is well known for being the birthplace of heavy metal, and I feel like there are a higher population of metalheads here, so I do feel like it fits in and it works for my schedule. But I felt like I had to leave Trowbridge to find the right people to work with and find the right venues and stuff like that. But it depends on your style of music and the people you want to work with. And I needed to leave my comfort zone because there wasn't really enough people playing the same kind of stuff that I wanted to do in Trowbridge at the time.
And do you feel metal is in a good place at the moment? Because I think I'm getting to that age now where I'm probably starting to drift away a bit too far from metal. I think that does happen to a lot of people. So I'm aware that Bristol has a really vibrant metal scene. I just don't go to those particular gigs that often. But do you feel like as a genre and as a style that it's in a good place?
I think it's definitely been in a better place.
So it's not just me ignoring it. It is actually not as maybe not as big as it once was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think so. I think it depends on what kind of metal you like. I suppose maybe the kind of metal that I like is more old school stuff, and the genre is just changing, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with change and with what people are doing now. But I do think I don't know. It doesn't seem like a very cool thing to be into at the moment. But that doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'm not doing it to be cool and popular and fit in with people. It's just I find it cool.
Yeah, and that's what it needs to be, isn't it? Have you got any interesting tales you can tell from all the various bands and all the various gigs that you've been to?
Off the top of my head, because it was just this weekend. So on Friday, we played with Fury in Newcastle. We set off from Birmingham that morning. It was just a very busy day. We got there. Newcastle had a photo shoot with his photographer. It was great. And then went to the gig, loaded in. And I recently met this guy called Jeff Waters, and he's the guitarist and vocalist of a band called Annihilator. And they were like quite a big thrash band, like one of the more significant ones from, I think, like they're like more like 90s thrash. But he's Canadian. And yeah, so he now lives in Durham, and I invited him down to the Fury gig, and he came and met us all and hung out, and then invited us to come to his he's got a home music studio there, and he invited us to come and visit it the next day, and we got to like look at all the cool things, and he made us coffee, and that's about all the cool stories I've got. I don't know. It's really hard to like filter through like the memories and find one that's interesting. But yeah, that's an interesting one from this weekend.
You've just made that sound like
drummer
that
was like,
every weekend, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that does not happen every weekend. But our drummer was like, he's so happy, he loved it. He's really into Annihilator, and he was like beside himself with joy.
So what's next for you? Obviously, you're going off to do this slot with I forgot Merciful Fate. So what happens after that?
After that, I don't know. It'll be back to reality. So the Merciful Fate thing is so much bigger than anything I've ever been a part of before. So I think it's going to take some adjusting. Going from like the tour bus and stuff to, just back to like driving myself in the van and changing my own bass strings and stuff like this. I'm like, oh, okay. Being the band's agent and manager and bass player and social media person, and like the driver, merch seller, the long list of things, storage. I store all the merch here and then send out all the orders. So yeah, I think just readjusting to that, and then there'll be some gigs with Fury in the UK, and then I think we'll take the kind of early 2023 lull, as not very many people go out to gigs, to work on the next album. So Fury's 5th album we'll be starting to work on. I know that our vocalist Julian, he's already working on some stuff. So yeah, I guess just like get stuck in with that one.
Yeah. It sounds like this tour of America is more like a holiday for you, getting on the tour bus and just turning up and playing.
Yeah, I mean, like it's it's going to be a lot of work leading up to it. Like, so I've kind of taken a step back from a lot of lessons and stuff that I used to teach. I've kind of cut back on those hours so I can really focus on making sure that the songs are as good as I can possibly get them. Like, I don't want to be nervous about anything when I do this. I want to do it right because it's a big opportunity for me. But yeah, I think once I get there and I've got the first few gigs in the bag, it's going to be like a holiday. Like, all right, look at all these days off you got. And, I don't have to drive. And I don't like... I don't know. I don't even have to load in and set up. I don't think there's people to do that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to pick up a hobby or something, read a book. Also, like the stage props, they've got like a big stage show, and I've never had, I've had a band maybe that has a backdrop or like, a couple of those roller banners and things, but I think they're going to build this big, I don't know, like this big backdrop stuff and staging things that I've got to watch out for. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Cool. I wish you all the best with that. It sounds like an incredible few months coming up for you. We always ask our guests to pick a track for us to play as well. So what have you picked and why?
I'm going to pick my own band song. So I'm going to have Fury's song, If You Get to Hell First. We released this in February this year. So this is from our new album, Born to Sin. And it's I think it's my favorite video from the new album, from all the new stuff. So I hope you enjoy it.
Cool, thanks. Just finally, can you just run through your social media links so make sure people can find the right person?
Okay, you can find my website, which is beckybaldwinbass.com, and from there you find all the links. But yeah, if you type in Becky Baldwin Bass on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
we have just played a track from Fury, and that was "If You Get to Hell First."
Oh, that's a cool song. It's a cool video.
Yeah, it's a really good video. Yeah, it reminded me of like The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It's a completely wrong style of music. This is kind of the same story.
Yeah, sure. Well done. Well spotted, John.
I know my brain just picks up on such random coincidences or connections that other people just miss. Have you got any news this week, Kieran?
No news, mate. No news. Actually, I have got some news.
I'll make your mind up.
It's not news really that I can share publicly just yet. But what I can say is tomorrow I'm meeting Tom Mallard from Riverbank Studios and Tom, can't remember his surname, from Purple Noise in Trowbridge. And we are looking to take over a space in Trowbridge and join forces and form our own collective. So we're going to tomorrow to talk vision and ideas, and we'll see where it takes us. So I will keep you updated in due course.
Cool. Thank you, Kieran. I just have one piece of news, which is a story that just it's rumbling on, and it's going to continue rumbling on, and it is about the Oasis in Swindon.
Oh, give us an update. Give us an update.
Well, so where do we start? So Oasis closed a few years ago. It's changed hands a few times. People don't quite know what to do with it. Somebody came up with a plan to refurbish it and like rip some bits down and build some new bits. It involved changing the famous glass dome. So then a campaign group managed to get the Oasis buildings listed. And when you've got a listed building, it's under a conservation act. Therefore, you cannot play with it and change. You cannot change the appearance of it. Which has then scared off all these investors who now don't want to invest because they can't release their vision or make it come true. So now there's a different campaign group which is trying to get the building delisted.
No.
So on one side, you've got a campaign group which is in favour of having the Oasis Centre listed and preserving it as the building that it is, and a separate campaign group trying to do the exact opposite, get it delisted, even though it has just been listed, so that renovations and changes can be made to the building.
That is hilarious.
I don't even know what side of the fence I want to sit on with that.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, people it's iconic. It's iconic. The dome, the venue, it's iconic. What would be great is if they could redevelop it. So obviously remove the listing status on the basis that they won't destroy it. And then somebody comes in and redevelops it and makes it, green and usable. Wouldn't that be good? Is that a compromise?
There we go. Yeah, Kieran's got the answer there. So he's going to take it over.
Far.
Send your pound coins to Kieran. He will raise enough money to buy it. If you want to get in touch, sheerisolation@gmail.com, or you can find us sheerisolation.co.uk. You can go on to various streaming services where you can find all of our back episodes as well. Kieran, thank you for a very entertaining half hour.
That's absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
We will be back here same time next week. So speak to you then. See you then.
Ciao.
Yeah. Bye bye.